On December 9, 2025, the Supreme Court stunned the nation by abruptly dismissing a pivotal case on presidential power, sending shockwaves through the legal and political landscape. By sidestepping the core constitutional question, the court handed President Trump a quiet but significant victory, leaving many Americans and legal experts searching for answers. The case, Trump versus Slaughter, focused on whether Trump had the authority to fire independent agency commissioners at will, a move that now stands thanks to the court's procedural dismissal, without a definitive ruling on the merits. Justice Alito's sudden and unexpected recusal only deepened the uncertainty, fueling speculation and anxiety in Washington about the reasons behind his decision and its impact on the case. Instead of clarifying the limits of presidential power, the court's inaction left the lower court's divided ruling in limbo, effectively expanding executive reach and leaving the legal community divided. This decision arrives at a moment of intense political tension, with President Trump seeking to reshape the federal bureaucracy and consolidate more control over independent agencies. By refusing to rule, the court has created a power vacuum, allowing a radical expansion of presidential authority to proceed unchecked, and raising questions about the future of checks and balances in American government. The future of independent agencies and the balance of American government has never been more uncertain, as the nation waits to see how this unprecedented moment will shape the years ahead. The crisis began in March 2025, a moment that would soon be recognized as a turning point in American political history. President Trump abruptly fired 2 Democratic FTC commissioners, citing political misalignment rather than any proven misconduct or ethical breach. The move was as sudden as it was controversial, sending shockwaves through Washington and beyond. This bold action directly challenged the 90-year-old precedent of Humphrey's Executor versus United States, a landmark Supreme Court case that had long protected agency heads from being removed for purely political reasons. For nearly a century, this precedent had served as a cornerstone of the administrative state, ensuring a degree of independence for federal agencies. The firing sparked immediate legal action, as critics argued that the president had overstepped his constitutional authority. The dismissed commissioners, backed by the advocacy group Protect Democracy, filed suit and initially won a significant victory in district court, which ruled in their favor and ordered their reinstatement. But the legal battle was far from over. A divided appeals court muddied the waters, reinstating only one commissioner, while leaving the core constitutional question unresolved, deepening the uncertainty. The case quickly escalated, becoming a referendum on the very nature of the executive branch and the future of dozens of independent agencies that help govern everything from trade to consumer protection. At stake was a fundamental question: whether the president could bring the entire administrative state under direct control, effectively ending decades of agency independence and reshaping the balance of power in Washington. The Trump administration saw in this moment a chance to realize a long-held conservative goal: absolute presidential authority over federal agencies, a vision that would dramatically expand executive power. Trump versus Slaughter became the battleground for this fundamental reordering of American power, drawing national attention and fierce debate from legal scholars, politicians, and the public alike. The outcome would determine not just the fate of 2 commissioners, but the very structure of American governance itself, with implications for generations to come. The stakes could not have been higher, as the nation watched and waited for a decision that could redefine the separation of powers. The showdown was set, with the Supreme Court poised to decide the future of the administrative state and the limits of presidential power. But in a stunning twist, the court's refusal to rule left the nation in suspense, prolonging the uncertainty and setting the stage for even greater constitutional conflict ahead. At the Supreme Court, the Trump administration argued for sweeping presidential control over all executive officials, including independent agency heads. Solicitor General Sauer claimed voters hold the president accountable for government actions, so the president must have firing authority. He dismissed the old Humphrey's Executor precedent as outdated, insisting modern agencies wield too much power to remain insulated. On the other side, Attorney Amit Agarwal warned that ending agency independence would politicize regulation, undermine expertise, and destabilize the government. He argued that Congress created these agencies to ensure nonpartisan, expert-driven decisions, essential for public trust and economic stability. Overturning precedent, Agarwal cautioned, would replace impartial governance with political loyalty tests, threatening the separation of powers. The justices faced a stark choice: preserve agency independence or grant the president unprecedented control. During arguments, the court's ideological divide was clear. Liberal justices warned that unchecked presidential firing power would dismantle decades of stable, expert governance and threaten public welfare. Justice Kagan and her colleagues pressed the administration on the dangers of politicizing science, economics, and public health. The conservative majority, however, questioned the legitimacy of independent agencies, suggesting they wield too much unaccountable power. Chief Justice Roberts and others signaled openness to expanding presidential authority, viewing for-cause removal protections as unconstitutional. Most observers expected a landmark ruling overturning precedent. Instead, the court's surprise dismissal left the issue unresolved and the nation on edge. The Supreme Court's dismissal triggered outrage among Democrats and civil rights groups, who saw it as an abdication of judicial responsibility. They argue the decision enables an unchecked executive, undermining democratic norms and agency independence. Republicans, meanwhile, celebrated the outcome as a win for executive efficiency and a blow to the so-called deep state. The public response has been deeply polarized, with each side seeing the decision as either a threat to democracy or a restoration of presidential authority. Advocacy groups warn that consumer, labor, and environmental protections are now at risk of political capture. Trump supporters view the move as a mandate to drain the swamp and dismantle bureaucratic resistance. The nation is left more divided than ever, with fundamental disagreements over how government should function. The court's decision will reshape daily life for Americans. Agencies like the FTC, Consumer Product Safety Commission, and National Labor Relations Board now face direct political control, threatening their ability to protect consumers, workers, and public safety. Agency heads could be replaced for political reasons, undermining expertise and impartial enforcement. Imagine the EPA chief fired for climate science, or SEC leadership replaced to favor Wall Street. Scenarios now possible. The shift from expert-led regulation to political patronage could erode protections Americans have long relied on. The rules that govern society may now change with each administration, benefiting the powerful over the public. The independence of regulatory agencies, and the safeguards they provide, hangs by a thread. The most immediate danger is rampant politicization across the federal government. Agency leaders and career civil servants now face pressure to align with White House politics, risking the loss of evidence-based decision-making. Public trust and safety could suffer as expertise is replaced by loyalty. Even conservative justices hesitated to extend this logic to the Federal Reserve, recognizing the economic chaos political interference could cause. The court is set to hear a separate case on the Fed's independence, highlighting the contradictions in their approach. If presidential firing power is absolute, can the Fed be exempt? The answer will shape not just regulatory agencies but the stability of the entire economy. The Supreme Court's dismissal hasn't resolved the conflict over presidential power. Instead, it's only deepened the uncertainty and left the nation grappling with more questions than answers. The boundaries of executive authority are now more blurred than ever before. President Trump is now free to reshape the federal government as he sees fit, likely triggering a wave of firings and resignations across key agencies. This newfound freedom could set a precedent for future presidents, fundamentally altering how the executive branch operates. Regulatory predictability is gone, replaced by whiplash as rules and policies shift dramatically with each new administration. The lack of continuity makes it difficult for agencies to plan ahead, and for citizens and businesses to know what to expect. Worker protections and agency expertise may erode, while business faces new instability and uncertainty. The expertise built up over decades could be lost, and the consequences may ripple through every sector of society. The presidency has become even more powerful, making future elections higher stakes than ever before. Each vote now carries the weight of shaping not just policy, but the very structure of government itself. The idea of a stable, nonpartisan civil service is under threat, with transitions likely to bring mass purges and a loss of institutional memory. The government's ability to function smoothly from one administration to the next is no longer guaranteed. The road ahead is fraught with political and legal battles that will define American governance for years to come. the nation faces a period of intense polarization and uncertainty, with the rules of the game constantly shifting. The Supreme Court's inaction has allowed a radical restructuring of executive power, opening the door to changes that may be difficult to reverse. The fundamental question, are we governed by laws and institutions or by the will of one person, remains unanswered, casting a long shadow over the future of American democracy. Today, the balance has tipped toward the latter, and the future of American democracy hangs in the balance, as citizens and leaders alike search for a path forward in these turbulent times.